Good morning, everybody. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties this morning. How's everybody doing? For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Michael Coury. I'm an associate broker with eXp Realty, but today I'm talking to you about some title stuff. Amy asked me to pop in here. Reason that I get to talk about title stuff is I have 7 years experience, did about 1,000 closings a year for about those 7 years. All right. So I get to find pleasure of boring all you this morning. All right. But before we get into that, I always like to hear wins at any meeting that I start off. And I know that's how Amy usually does it. So I'd love to hear some wins. So, and I will call on you if you don't shout out. I don't care if your camera's on, but I want to hear some wins. So what's going on, everybody? Give me some.
Offer accepted.
Missy had an offer accepted. Talking about, right? Anybody else? All right, I'm gonna shout out some wins then. Lucy Coury right there has got a listing going live today. All right, so that she's killing it there. I know Herman's got a clear to close next week. I could say something like that. Jeff was just on. I didn't see Jeff anymore. Misty, what do you got going on? Or Misty, not April. What do you got going on? Anything? All right. I'll get going then, guys. All right, thanks, guys. All right, so hey, I do like my trainings to be a little bit more interactive. All right. So pop on, ask questions, shout out, interrupt me. It doesn't matter. All right. I'm completely fine with that. All right. First thing I'm going to go into is Title 101, guys. What is title insurance? All right. Title insurance, I always say to look at it like this. Everybody knows what homeowners insurance. It is what protects your home for what is going to happen. Title insurance protects the purchasers, all right, or the new owners and the lender, all right, for what already did happen. All right, so that's what you're going to look at. Well, what could already happen? You might ask, right? Things that could already happen would be like liens, right? Taxes, water owed, people having interest to the property, having ownership of the property, big mortgages on it, little mortgages on it, personal tax debt that goes onto it. All right, federal tax liens, a part of your name that goes onto it. All right, all of these liens can affect the property. Right? Why does the lender care about that? Right. Well, when a lender's given money, right, to a borrower, right, they attach their new lien onto that house, right? Well, they want to be the first ones to get paid in the scenario that they don't get paid, right, and something falls in front of it. They want to make sure that they're getting paid, right? We call that first position. All right. They want to be, if Empire Mortgage is on the property, they want to be in a first position lien in that property. They want to be the first ones to get paid off. April. I am going to pick on you. I'm sorry. I lied. What is the only thing that can jump first position? Do you remember? Taxes, right? I don't know if I have any Euchre fans out there, but taxes are Trump is what I always say, right? Yeah, love Euchre. Yeah, good. Yeah. Most Michiganders do, right? So with that being said, right? Always remember that taxes are king, right? Or Jack in Euchre's case, right? All right. Different types of title stuff, right, would be like deeds, right? And a lot of people like to do quick claim deeds, right? A lot of people like to say, oh, it's quick, it's quit. We'll do it easy. We'll add the spouse on at closing. Can anybody tell me why that's bad?
It cancels the title insurance.
Why?
Because now the deed's changed.
Yep. So there's a transfer. Okay. So for those of you that didn't hear that, right? And Jeff's giving you a round of applause. And you guys, we can't see you on the TV. We don't have you on the TV in the background. So Jeff, I'm gonna do your Jeff's giving a thumbs up, right? So yes, with quick claim deeds, guys, they cancel the policy out. All right. So obviously, like all other title insurance or any other insurance, the insurance company insures a policy. All right. If you have the owner's policy is being insured and paid for by the sellers to insure the new purchasers generally. There's negotiations that can, of course, occur, but that's generality. All right. With that, when you do a quick claim deed or any transfer of a deed whatsoever, let's say me and Mike are on a property together. All right. And I say, hey, I'm going to add Shannon on after the closing. All right. Well, the moment that me and Mike add Shannon onto that, me and Mike were the only ones on the policy. And we just voided out our title policy right then and there, right? Now, I want to make you guys killers out there, right? And I want to make sure that you guys have a little momentum to win, because otherwise this title stuff is just boring to you, right? What does it mean to you if you're just whatever, right? So the reason I'm bringing this up is things that you could talk about with your clients ahead of time is make sure you know who's going on title, right? Now, if I have a boyfriend and a girlfriend or a fiance, right? My number one question when I first meet them in a buyer consultation is, who do you expect to be borrowing and who do you expect to be going on title? All right. Me and my wife, when we bought our property, I had the good credit score. I had the income. She was a stay-at-home mom at the time, basically, right? So she really couldn't qualify. She didn't have the income or the job history at the time, right? So I got the note. I signed the mortgage. I signed everything like that. And I said, hey, I want her to go on title though, right? We weren't married at the time, right? And I'll go into tendencies about that here in a little bit, but we weren't married at the time, right? So I said, I want it to be Michael Coury, a single man, right? And Lucinda Carrier at the time, a single woman, right? And I was told, oh, you can't do that. Well, that's not true. What that is, guys, that's a non-borrowing person, all right? They go on title to get their interest on the property, right? But I'm the one signing the note. That is allowed all day long, okay? The phrase that we say, in April, I won't ask you it, even though I know you have it written down in your notes from my old classes, right? It's heavy on the mortgage, light on the deed, right? You can't be backwards, right? You have to have either matching or heavy on the mortgage, light on the deed, right? You can have more people on a mortgage if you have a borrowing person that, like a mom or a stepmom. I don't know why they would do this. I have seen it though, right? A mom or a dad or a grandfather or something like that that's helping a child out and they're going on the loan, right? But they don't want to be on the deed for some reason. You can do that, but you can't do it backwards. All right. Always food for thought to think about when you're talking with your clients. It's a good way to show your knowledge, and it's a very small thing to go about without spewing a lot of things on them. Right? Just, hey, I want to make sure that we're vesting title properly, right? Let's sit down and let's talk about who's going to all be on title. You could have situations where you have multiple people on title. You have a situation where you have 4 people on title. I've seen that multiple times, right? So not saying quitclaim deeds are bad, but they're not backed by insurance policies, guys. They do switch, all right? If you have a client in the middle of a transaction that says, hey, I need to add somebody on, right? Make sure you go through the proper channels. Do an addendum, right? Talk to your title company. Call me, call Shannon, right? We'll talk about it with you. I guarantee it. Do not void that title policy, right? Now, we didn't talk about this. Why is it so important not to void a title policy? Anybody? The main reason, right? And it's rare, but what if something came back 6 months, a year, 2 years down the line, and the title company didn't catch it, and there was a big lien on the property? $120,000 home equity line of credit they didn't see for some reason, right? Who's responsible for that now because it voided the title policy? The new homeowners, right?
It happens.
No, it does happen. Now, who are they going to blame? The title company? No, they're going to come back and they're going to blame the realtor. Why didn't you know about this? Like, you should know everything about their 50-year history of their home, right? And what's your goals? To get referrals out of them, right? To grow trust and a bond and a relationship with them. Right? So that is a good way to insert a little bit of knowledge in there, right? And talk about that.
So is there a statute of limitation for somebody to come back and put a lien on the house?
There is, actually, Shannon, what is it? Do you know it? It's like 2.5. It's different for different liens.
Yeah, it depends if it's like a construction lien or
Yeah.
mortgage lien, it's all different, just based on what type of lien you're filing. You can file, I mean, there's judgment liens, you know, so what kind of lien are you talking?
Just in general, I was just wondering, like, so like if you had your title policy like for 5 years, there's never have been an issue, would you be free and clear by that point if you want to do like
Well,
a deed change?
So that's a great point, right? And anytime you do a deed change, what a title company would say to you, and an attorney would advise you on it, I would assume as well, is to pull title insurance on it, pull title on it, right? That's the proper way to go about that, right? And just like any other insurance company, there are extra endorsements and extra things that you can put on the policy to cover you for that, right? So that's always something, and it's unique to each scenario. That's why I'm not, and that's why Shannon's like, hey, what lien are you talking about? That's why I'm like, I know there's a statute of limitations, but I would look that up too, right? That's not something I store in my mental bank here of, hey, let's get my Rolodex out and let's see what's going on. No, it's not something that I do there. Okay. But definitely something I would look into if that came up. Right. So, but again, small little things that you can do, right? Another small little things that you can do is talk about tenancy with people, right? Which is what I was just talking about the other, a little bit ago, right? There are 3 simple tendencies that you need to talk about with people. A lot of times that we see at a title company is you see people not talk about that. And if you don't advise the title company as a real estate agent, right? Or a buyer or seller, I guess, but they're not going to know about it. It's your obligation to try to guide them down the right path. And again, you can show that you're more knowledgeable, right? Without spewing on them, right? It's just talking about tenants in common, right? If they're not married, right? Or talking about joint tenants for right survivorship, right? Just two to three simple ones, right? There's a bunch of other different types of tendencies we can go into, but if you know just a couple of the two to three simple ones, it can get you through the conversation, right? If you don't put anything, remember the state standard is tenants in common, right? You don't say anything. If I say Michael Coury, a married man, and Michael Matkin, a single man, hey ladies, no, then, and I don't put anything, then we're automatically tenants in common, right? Anybody but Shannon want to tell me what tenants in common is? Well, yes.
Well, if you die, then if I'm related to you, I can come over a piece of your ownership interest. It is gonna complicate things with your associate.
Okay. I like it. I like the answer, but here, what I'm gonna spin it. Okay. Me and Mike, I'm gonna give you the example. I'm gonna go back to my example. Me and Mike own a piece of property. Okay. That property is 1234 Main Street. All right. We own it as tenants in common. That means, and as long as we don't specify, it's 50-50 interest in the property, guys. All right. Unless we specify otherwise. Okay. And it means it results to our heirs, not to each other. God forbid anything happens to either one of us. All right. That's what tenants in common is. All right. If you don't specify anything, that's what it is. Right. And if that's how they want it, that's fine. Right. Just make sure that they're advised. Right. And just trust me, I have that simple conversation with every client and they're like, wow, I never even thought about it. Right. And it just makes you come off again a little bit more knowledgeable. Right. And a little bit more knowledgeable can go a long way to getting referrals and a lot of stuff like that. Right. I've had a lot of clients that I just assumed. I was just like, hey, your boyfriend and girlfriend, right? You're going to get married probably one day, right? Not to put pressure on you, dude. You don't have to go buy that ring right now, but you might want to start thinking about that, right? Now there's other precautionaries and more precautionaries that they can take, of course, right? But easy ones that I can say to them is, hey, why don't you just be joint tenants for right survivorship and let me explain what that means. Do you know what that means? Because you wanted to say the no rights for survivorship.
Like the rights of survivorship with that, equal interest.
Yep. So right. All right. I like it. You listen on your class. You listen on your class, right? You don't pass the heirs, right? So again, me and Mike's on a property, 1234 Main Street, 50-50 interest in the property because we don't stipulate otherwise, right? God forbid something happens to me, right? If I have joint tenants for right survivorship as the tenancy on there, who does it go to? Mike, right? Because I stipulated I want it to go to Mike, right? I don't care about my kids getting a piece of it. Mike's getting it, right? So any questions on the simple tenancies? And those are the two simple tenancies that you really need to know as a real estate agent here. There are a lot more, of course, right? Now, I want to talk about things that, again, can make you look like the hero, right? That's why I'm sitting here today. Otherwise, title jargon would just be boring for you. Haven would be like, Michael, I got to go, man. This is too much, right? And again, that's why you have title companies, right? Call me or call, my mother is also a title person, guys. That's how I got in the industry. Call Stacy Coury or Adam Drobit over at Michigan Title, Clearwater Title, all that good jazz. Call Frank Lucarelli, call whoever you need, right? Please call me. I love you guys, right? Please call me. But that's why you have them, right? But again, when you're on the field, you're not going to go, excuse me, buyer, let me call Michael real quick and get that done. You're not going to do that. So again, just little tidbits. All right. So payoffs, right? A lot of people think that, hey, I don't need to get a payoff authorization form signed because you know what? The client told me that there's nothing, that there's nothing there. Now you don't need to collect a social security number, guys. If they say, oh, you know what? My house is free and clear. All right. You don't need to collect even the lender information if they say the house is free and clear, right? But on the authorization form, have it in your packets, right? Cross it through, get it signed. Right? Because I always tell my clients, well, I just want to make sure that we know what's on title. I believe you, right? But it's my job to make sure that I go to work for you. So, right, if I have this, I can work on the back end a lot better for you, right? And you'd be like, well, what does that do? That lets the title company know, right, that your clients think it's free and clear. If a discharge pops up or anything like that, they can notify you immediately so you can get on it, right? Other things, right? Anybody deal with a trust in here? Again, besides Shannon, I know Shannon's dealt with trust for years. Right? A lot of things that happen at the closing table, right? And it's because the title company doesn't think to tell people, and because they don't know that they don't have it until the closing table. And then at that point, it's too late. It's tax ID numbers, right? For estates or for trusts, right? And then you get to the table, and yeah, they can use their social security number or something like that, but they're upset about it, right? What's something that they could be more upset about when it comes to something like that with an estate or a trust? All right. The monies or the proceeds always have to be cut back to what is called the fee simple owner, guys. All right. The owner of the property. All right. Always has to be cut to that person, right? By law. So if me and Mike own a property, it's being cut to Michael Coury and Mike Mackin, right? If me and Mike own a property in our LLC, right, it's being cut to Mike and Mike's LLC, right? If we own it in our trust, it's being cut to Mike and Mike's revocable living trust, right? That's what it's being cut to. So I need a bank account set up in that name of that entity, okay, or that individual. More than likely, you have an individual, they have a bank account, right? You don't have to check that, all right? Oh, you're an individual, we're fine. If you don't have a bank account, you live under a rock, right? But a lot of people, when they're going through a trust or an estate process, they don't have bank accounts, right? So another conversation you have right up front is, hey, couple things that we're going to need to go over, right? Because you already told me you have a trust. I already know that, right? One, do you have a certificate of trust, or have you talked to your attorneys about a certificate of trust? If not, don't worry, I have a game plan in the background to do it. I can talk with my title company. We can get one prepared. We can go through simple steps, right? We can talk to an attorney. We can get your attorney to prepare one, all right? A lot of times, depending on the title company, guys, right? It needs to be updated within the last 6 months. Not all title companies have that requirement, right? Some do, right? 6 months from closing, right? And that's, to me, that's a title company thing because it differs. But you can go, hey, so Michael Coury's revocable living trust, do you have a bank account set up for that? Huh? Do I have a bank account set up for that? Yeah, okay. I need you to take your full trust and existence into PNC or your local bank, right? And talk with them about the requirements of what they need to set up that bank account. Keep it open until all your assets are closed. Sorry, your attorney didn't tell you that, but I'm here for you. Don't worry. Okay. And then they're going to go, wow, thank you, April. Dang, you're awesome. Let me send my whole family your way, right? And I know these things sound silly, right? It's got me referrals, right? I know it's gotten Shannon referrals, right? Am I wrong? Right? So questions on anything that we're going over so far? Okay, awesome. Other things, right? Who's tired of running around and I'm going to go on to a later subject, right? I'm going to try to bring this back up a little bit, right? Who's tired of running around and collecting EMDs? Anybody run around collecting EMDs? You're lying. You guys are all liars. I know you guys sprint across the nation to collect EMDs. Jeff, are you ever run across town to collect an EMD? Yes. Okay. You ever out late at night or early in the morning collecting an EMD? Yes. Yeah. Reason I say that, guys, it's another way you can look like a hero or even step into the new generation, which is a newer thing for me, right? Is a lot of these title companies now, they have electronic deposit. Use them, right? They're right on your phone, right? You can collect it even if it's an elderly person, all right? You can collect it from them, all right? Or you can tell them to do it, right? And walk them through the process of doing it. It's nice and easy, right? You snap it just like your bank, right? Snap picture, write out a check, snap it just like your bank, right? Talk to your title companies about that, guys, right? Don't let that go unnoticed, right? It's easy on the escrow side, all right? Now let's bring it back to the difference between, now I talked a lot about title stuff, right? But with the title companies, there's two parts, right? Does anybody know what the word escrow means? Mike, you know what the word escrow means? Shannon's like, he doesn't want me to talk. He doesn't. All right. Now you guys will hear escrow in so many different ways throughout your career. All right. You'll hear, oh, well, it's the escrow account with the mortgage company. That's what it means. I've gotten that answer before, right? Or it's the escrow account. It's the escrow account that our EMDs are held in. I've heard that before, right? So what's the common thread on that, right? It's hold, right? Escrow just means to hold, right? And why you have a title company, you also have an escrow company, and they're combined in one in the state of Michigan, right? There's two parts. And I always say it meets at the halfway point. Once the commitment or the policy goes out, guys, then you get to see what you guys all see all the time and what you guys crave to see all the time, which is your closing, right? Which is when they process your documents, right? They status your file, they look for all that stuff, and they hold in all money and they disperse all money. All right. Important to know about escrows. Why? Because it comes into negotiations for you guys, right? And you guys start shouting out different types of escrows.
Repair escrow.
Repair escrow,
Water escrow,
escrow,
taxes.
tax escrow, payoff escrow, undispersed closed in escrow, right? That one is, we hold the whole transaction in escrow like a buyer didn't give me money, right? Stuff like that. Occupancy escrow, right? Payoff escrow, right? There's a lot of times I've saved a lot of my deals by doing a payoff. Actually, I just did one not too long ago, doing a payoff escrow, guys, right? Talking to the title company, and only if the title company will allow it, right? And saying, hey, I'm going to hold all the proceeds in escrow. Let's hold them all, right? Because we didn't get a payoff in time. And I don't know if anybody else has dealt with this lately, but loan care has been a pain in the butt, right? All MSHAs are being serviced to loan care right now, right? And Rob's laughing because he's a lender, right? And loan care, they take a long time to get payoffs, right? And a lot of times it will butt up right next to your closing. And if they don't have that figure, they can't prepare statements, right? If they can't prepare statements, we're not having a closing. But wait, I have an idea. We can do a closing. Let's just do an escrow and let's get the closing done. Let's get the buyers happy and on the way. Sellers, I'm going to explain this to you. We're going to hold your money for like 4 more days. I swear, and we're going to get it to you. All right. Once we know the payoff, we can do it that way. And that at least gets it closed for you guys. So you're done dealing with the mundane task of the process. Okay. Why is knowing what your escrow is important? All right. Knowing how to write the addendums, knowing how to communicate with the title companies, knowing how to do that will make your jobs a lot easier. Right? Making your jobs a lot easier will get you back on the phones, get you communicating with more clients, and obviously, again, making you look like the hero to your clients when it comes to be. Right? Questions on that? Come on, I need some more interaction on Zoom. Jeff's like, don't pick on me. Jeff's like, don't do it. All right.
Michael, I have a question.
Janine.
Hi,
What's up?
I had a closing in February at Michigan Title, but with title partners. And it was an engaged couple. And they said that we could not add her on because they weren't married.
Who said that? Michigan Title said that?
I can't remember now where the bottom line. We were through title partners, but it was at Michigan Title. But when I said, oh, she was supposed to be on this, they said, oh, no, if they're not married, we can't do that anymore. It was a whole thing that day.
I'm not trying to challenge people, but I'm going to challenge that all day long. Okay. Because as long as they're on title, it doesn't matter if they're married, right? Marriage has nothing to do with that whatsoever. What I'm thinking is that it was too late in the process, that the lender didn't have them on documents, because they do need to, as a non-borrowing person, they do need to have them sign some lender documents, stuff like that. So it could have been too late in the process, right? Even more so why having the discussions up front. I have had, and Rob, I'm not pointing fingers at you in this, Rob never done this to me. Rob knew this up front, right? But I have had loan officers in the past question me about this, right? And I have had challenged them. I have had title companies question me about this in the past. Actually, I had it questioned on my own property when it did happen when me and Lucy weren't married, right? So I would challenge it, Deneen, next time that comes up. And again, have the conversations up front and have them on the purchase agreements. I get that question a lot. Right? Michael, well, how do I tell them? Put them on the purchase agreement. Put Michael Coury and Lucy Carrier on the purchase agreement, right? Do that, right? And then when they go, well, Lucy's not borrowing. Yeah, I know, but she's going on title, right? And explain that to the loan officer and walk that through with the title company. The title company should know about it, right? But the need to answer your question, I'm thinking, I hate to say this, I'm thinking it was laziness, to be quite honest, or too late in the process.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Welcome. I like that. I like the interaction. Any other questions? Come on, bring up your scenarios. What are your commonly asked questions that come up with title, mortgages, stuff like that? You gotta have something. Gotta have something. All right. All right. Now we're going to talk about the difference. Does anybody know why we have, again, anybody but Shannon, All right, no, I'm gonna use that. I love that Shannon's here, but if she speaks up, guys. All right, does anybody know why we have split closings? Okay, now, there is a owner's policy, all right? And again, we talked about that a little earlier, all right? An owner's policy generally can be negotiated otherwise, is paid for by the sellers, ensuring the buyers that they're the free and clear landowners. They have no liens, they have no incumbents, they're the only owner. Basically, look at it, they have no bills walking in their new house besides the bill they just put on their property if they have a new mortgage. Got me? And they have to pay their own taxes. Uncle Sam, right? Then there's a lender policy, which we briefly touched on. The lender policy is generally, if it's a new mortgage, if it's a mortgage, all right, paid by the buyer to insure the lender. So I'm the buyer, Rob's my lender. I'm insuring Empire Mortgage that they're going to be the first position. If you're running in a race, right, they're the first ones to get paid off. Got it? That is why we have true split closings, guys. All right, or true split. That's why we have split closings, guys. Pardon me. Split closings, right, are because two title companies can insure two policies. All right. What? Michigan Title insures the owner's policy. They're handling the seller side of the transaction. All right. Title Partners is insuring the mortgage policy or the loan policy. They're insuring the buyer's side. All right. You're going, okay, why do I care about that? Right. Well, you care about that because you care about who's handling the money. Which side do you guys think is handling the money after I say that to you? Who receipts in all money and who disperses all money after we were talking about that? And anybody on Zoom, I don't have to just pick on these guys. Anybody on Zoom can answer these questions. How about you, Stacy? Do you just have Catalano? I know you know this answer. Just gonna go, Michael, don't pick on me. Don't pick on me.
Would it be the title company that's handling the buyer side?
Why? I love that. Good job. Why?
Because the EMD would go to them, the loan of like all the money from the loan would go to them. So they would end up having to then pay the seller side title policy for them to disperse.
Correct. All money gets receipted on the dispersing side is what the title calls it, which is the buyer side for what you guys know, right? And pushed all out. Even the seller side title company gets paid from the dispersing title company, guys, right? So that's good to know because who's got the keys and who's got the money? Well, seller's got the keys, buyer's got the money, right? How are we going to form this, right? Well, there's one thing, and Amy could attest to this. She knows this because I was Amy's processor for a long time, right? Is she hates that, she knows that I hate what's called true split closings. All right, true split closings is sellers signing in Birmingham and buyers are signing here in Wyandotte, right? Why do I hate that? They're signing at two separate times. So now we're going to have to coordinate where keys are going and where's money's going. And people are going to wait 2 days to get their stuff because two title companies got to communicate back and forth. And it's too many hands in the honey pot, right? Let's get the signing done all at one day and let's make it easy, right? You want to make things easier for your clients, push for that with the listing agents. All right. Push for that with the selling agents, right? Push with that all over the place, right? Push. Go wherever. Right? What does that matter? I'll close. You're really that concerned about closing up in Birmingham? I'll go to Birmingham. It's going to make it, clients, do you mind? I know we're closing on our property in Wyandotte. Let's close up in Birmingham. I want to make sure you guys get keys that day. Right? I want to make sure it's a happy key. We're holding a sign. Everybody's happy. That's right. Because that's what they see. Right? They don't see the back end. They don't care about the back end. They see that. Right? Makes sense? All right. So you guys don't have a lot of questions because I was going to use the last like 10 minutes, all right, to go over questions, right? So I'm actually, I got a question. Amy, go ahead.
Hi. So I have one, I've had title companies in the past hesitant to hold security escrows. If you could talk about those, but then I feel like Jeff Garner, you should bring up the situation that you recently had about that release. If you're willing to talk about that.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about Jeff's thing if Jeff's still there. I don't see Jeff anymore.
Is he gone? Oh, okay. Well, basically he had a situation where they, it was a high end, it was like $1 million listing on Grozil. They held a $10,000 escrow. The client, the buyer, attends the listing and they see all these people walking and they claim that the floors were damaged because of this estate sale. So they wanted to keep the $10,000 security deposit. And somehow the title company released it back to the seller without it being signed by the buyer as released. Yeah, $10,000.
We won't name names. Amy, me and Shannon want to know who that title company is later.
Okay.
But no. That is a big no. Okay. Escrows, we were just talking about them, guys, and to go into what Amy's talking about right now. All right. Every escrow that you write needs to have these three things. All right. They need to have a drop dead date on it. They need to have a reason for releasing the escrow. All right. And then they need to have all parties sign off on that escrow. Right.
There's a lawsuit.
Or there, exactly, right? My lawyer friend over here says there's a lawsuit and she's 110% right. Escrow companies cannot, right? And again, when I say escrow companies, title companies, same concept, right? They cannot release escrows without written consent from all parties. That is not a thing. They also can't hold escrows without a written consent document. Your addendum doesn't matter to them, right? By the laws that they do. They prepare documents based off of our documents, but they have to have their documents, right? They have more strict laws on them than we do on us, right? They have to have those documents. So Amy, to answer your question, that is the biggest no-no I've ever heard anybody do whatsoever. And it's probably because they were trying to be customer service to their broker that they were working for. And no, I would have had a fit, right? If my party did not sign off on that, that the president of that title company would have gotten a direct phone call from me.
So if all parties, if you cannot get, whatever, a meeting of the minds where everyone's signing off, then that
What
money
happens to
just
money?
stays in the cloud, right?
Yeah. So
Unless there's a legal action.
Yeah. So in all escrow agreements, guys, all right, all of them, all right, EMDs included, all right, because EMDs go into trust accounts, guys, and the EXP, we don't hold EMDs. Any other brokerages, they may have trust accounts, stuff like that. But, and this goes for trust accounts for brokers too, right? In the agreement, it says we can hold your escrow up to 1 year. Generally, they say it's different things, but generally it's 1 year, right? That's water escrow, occupancy escrow. That's all escrows. All right. And once they hold it up to 1 year, right? They have to, if there's disputes on it or no signatures off and all that stuff, by law, they have to send it to the state. Right. And then you have to, with legal action, court order, stuff like that. Right. And that's another classic Shannon can talk all about. Right. They'd have to, that's how they'd release money. That goes EMDs or any escrow whatsoever, right? So Amy, to answer your question there, yeah, it floats, right? That's what I always say. It floats, it goes to the state and bye-bye, right? And shame on whatever title company that is, because they could be in a world of hurt. So I hope that answers your question. Was that your question as well, or was that Jeff's question?
No, that was a recent thing that had happened that I thought was pretty concerning and a little bit scary, especially with EMD of that size, because of course the buyer's coming back to him like, hey, we want this money, why haven't we received this money? And as he's tracking it down, it was apparently released the wrong way.
You know why, Jeff?
Yeah. So so Janice is looking into it right now. The funny thing is there's some stuff with the paperwork, but so bottom line is I sent it to Brooke. My client signed off. I crossed out that we're getting 0. I forgot to cross out the $10,000 that the seller was getting. Okay. But right below that, I said, see addendum. And I wrote in there $10,000 coming to buyers. Now, what Capital Title said is after 120 days, it automatically goes back to the buyers. Or I'm sorry, to the sellers. But what we do have is my email and what I sent to Brooke McNee stating we want $10,000. So, okay, my bad. I didn't cross out the $10,000 going to sellers. We signed it and said at the bottom, please see attached. Brooke has in an email stating, I see your client's demands. I will get with the sellers. So talking to Janice's boss, they're like, in no way possible would that should have been released. Title partners would not have done it. So the buyers are saying, oh, it's definitely Jeff's fault. It's my fault. They're trying to put blame on somebody because they were pissed off because they had an estate sale. This is what it all stems down to. So Janice is like, let me handle it. Janice is talking to lawyers. Janice is like, I don't want to talk to the buyers because they bitch me out and I'm gonna lose it on them. So I don't want to talk to them. Janice is like, let me handle it. And Janice is telling them they're gonna probably have to get a lawyer. It should have never been released by Capital Title, period.
I agree with you that it should have never been released. I'm just gonna say this, right? And this is a general example, and I'm glad you said that they're coming back on you, because again, guys, they're not gonna come back on the title company. They're not gonna, that's what I said in the beginning, right? They're not gonna come back on anybody but you. You are the person that they got in their corner, right? And it doesn't matter if it's somebody else's fault or not, they're gonna come back on you. Jeff, the only thing I would say to that is I would never put C attached addendum, because that addendum doesn't mean crap to a title company or an escrow agreement. That's the only thing I'm gonna say to this on training and training wise, right? So if anything that you guys can learn from that, right? And Jeff, for you to learn for the future, right? Is always make sure you specify that, right? Make sure it's very written and clear, right? Just so you don't get in this situation. But Jeff, you're right. They shouldn't have released that for any such reason whatsoever, because they didn't have fully written consent.
Yeah, and the thing is that Janice is saying, you know, I had it specified and Brooke stated that she received our demands. So if there's anybody at fault, I mean, I would hope that Brooke McNee, a realtor in her stature, and as long as she's been around, that she didn't white out, see attached, had her client sign it. You know, like white out, change anything, because she knows I sent it to her. She knows what we are demanding. So if anybody's at fault, it's the title company, and Brooke can take some blame for, I guess, not following up. But then I was talking to Amy and she said I should have contacted their title company. Now, like Janice says, I never contact the seller's title company. I deal with my title company and the agent. So is that right or wrong?
What, to contact their title company, the title company that was holding it? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah, 110%. Why can't you contact them? They're a part of the transaction. Contact them directly.
No, I'm saying I usually only deal with the seller's agent. I don't usually deal with the seller's title company.
Yeah. Talk to them. Bring everybody in the mold, right? Especially with the too many. I always say too many hands in the honey pot, because we have a listing title company, we have a buyer's title company, we have a mortgage company, we have 2 agents, and we have all these, right? I would say it's always your goal to bring it all together. That's your goal in every transaction, right? Actually, Amy says that to me all the time, right? Agents on the other side, they're our friends, right? Make them your friends to get the deal done, right? Same thing with title companies, Jeff, is what I would say about that, right? We actually had a situation yesterday where I had 2 title companies that were not communicating with each other, right? And I was happy to hear that Mike Shammy, right, got on the phone and linked them together. He went, no, I'm going to get one second. I'm going to get you on a 3-way with the other title company. Boom. Okay, yeah, cool. Here you go. Right. Just to link them together, get the job done. Right. So yeah, talk to whoever you have to talk to get it done.
I'll take it back to that brief road closing that I had where the agent wasn't really pulling her weight. So I had their agent, their lender, their title, and our title all on the phone at the same time. I orchestrated that.
Yeah.
Because if they're not doing what they need to do, you have every right to go to their lender to get answers. You have every right to go to their title company to get answers, to get the right people communicating to get done what needs to be done.
Yeah.
There's no holding back. You don't just sit back and go, well, they're not our side, so we're just gonna hope it works. Get on the phone. Get on the phone.
Get on the horn. I agree. Amy, Jeff, I hope. Go ahead, Jeff.
The only problem is, and I would do that at any time, Mike. I never knew that there was an issue when I sent this to Brooke. I didn't know at that point that this was going to get released.
Yeah.
So now when Janice and I did talk to their title company, you know, they're like, well, in the addendums that or the paperwork that you guys signed, you know, at closing, it states right on there that we're going to release it in 120 days. But it did not say anything about it on the damage deposit escrow form that I got. So again, I would get all parties involved at any point. In December, when it happened, I didn't know that this was going to be an issue. We just found out last week.
Well, sorry you're going through that, man. Hey, if I can help in any way, you let me know. I'm under the opinion that they shouldn't be releasing it either. So, but hey, we can always chat about that later, Jeff. You know, I'm always willing to help you, dude. All right.
Good, thanks.
If I can.
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
On an escrow, say it's a damage or occupancy. and
Yeah.
There's a discrepancy on both sides,
Yeah.
but there is no timeline. Explain that. If the sellers want money and the buyers want money, the sellers won't sign off. How does that pan out? Say there's an occupancy, a damage escrow, the buyers come back and say, this was messed up, we want that money.
And there's a dispute.
The sellers say, no way in hell we're signing that, and it sits.
It should sit and then be sent back to the state. That is what should happen, right? It is not a title company or an escrow company's job to get involved with negotiations. Guys, I want to be very clear about this. You are the negotiators, okay? A title company, an escrow officer, an examiner, a title processor, an escrow processor, a closing officer, they are third-party entities, and they go based off the documents that you write. They have laws that are backed by CFPB and a bunch of other land title association, a bunch of other things that they have to follow. But what their job is to ensure title policies and based off of your documents, prepare documents, receipt in all money, disperse all money, and that's it, right? Done, right? Forget his last name, but Frank over at Central 21 years ago used to say to me, every closing I used to walk into, he would announce me as a third-party entity. He would announce me as a third-party entity, and I loved it, right? A lot of closers hated it, but I was like, no, you're right. Just sign some documents. Let's go. Let's get out of here, right? So that's it. Amy, what's up? She has her hand up. Maybe she doesn't have a question.
No, I do. Sorry, I couldn't unmute. So no, the other thing I think is good for everyone to know is like, if you go through to a final walkthrough, I don't know if you talked about this at the very beginning, I couldn't log on, but if you go to a final walkthrough and there are things that are still wrong, maybe furniture that's still left there, maybe trash, like large amounts of trash or something, those escrows can really come in handy and like keep the deal together. If you can, it sucks because you kind of have to hustle last minute to do an addendum or something to edit the paperwork, but you want to protect your buyer. And so I've had like, I don't know, I had like almost illegal dumping, like tires and stuff that were still there when we did our final walkthrough that were all supposed to be removed. And so we held money back at closing. And that way, I mean, it's a good example.
Yeah, me and Amy actually had that on my house when me and Lucy bought back in 2020, guys, out in New Boston. There was a lot of stuff there. And guess what I didn't have, right? Which is shocking because I would do this for any client, right? Is exactly what Amy's talking about right now. I did not have a security deposit, right, on the property. So I had to sit there and basically me and Amy go back and forth with the brokers and the agents and to fight about how they were going to clean out the house because that's already in the purchase agreement anyways. How I saw it is how it should be cleaned out, right? But whatever, right? So it's always good to have that security deposit in there, right? Generally do it on occupancies. That's generally when you would do it, right? But put it in there in the initial offer, right? I'm going to do 1/30th PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance, right? And then I'm going to do $1,000 security deposit, right? Guys, I did $1,000 security deposit. Ooh, I'm echoing. I did $1,000 security deposit because on a house that we literally just got keys on yesterday that we closed a month ago, right? Because the yard had, I mean, endless amounts of dog crap, endless, right? My clients were upset about it, right? And I was like, no worries, we'll do $1,000. And they were like, that's ridiculous. And I was like, okay, but are you going to take my offer? It's the highest one you got, right? She was like, yeah, we're going to take your offer. I'm like, okay, well then cool. Then we're going to do it, right? And then the agent was calling me yesterday, like, everything look good to you? Because we want to get that 1,000 back. I'm like, yeah. Everything's fine. Thank you. We're going to sign off on it today. Right. But I mean, it incentivized them. Right. It's also why you do a water escrow. Right. Water escrow, guys, is generally $300 to $400. Right. Your water bill is $300 to $400. Man, you guys are doing something wrong. Right. So I call it motivation to get that final water bill. Right. And just to be clear for the people that don't know this, water is the only utility that is a lien on the property. All right. That's why it's held in a water escrow. Right. DTE, gas, electricity, that's your social security number. I don't care about that when it comes to title. Title companies don't care about that. All right. Any other questions, concerns, guys? Roddy.
So I have a client that owns a house and their credit has gone into bill repair, they lost their job. They have someone that lives with them and they want to take out all my people in that credit. And they need to have at least 120 days of ownership interest in that property, take out money.
Mhm.
The quick and easy thing to do is to slap a quick claim deed on and add them on there, which is also a dangerous thing to do. So what would be a legal nice maneuver to do to get them out of the title?
Wait 120 days.
What's that?
Wait 120 days.
Well, I mean,
To be quite honest, that's the legalest and safest way to do it, right?
but how are they gonna be, they're living in the house already. They have no ownership interest in them. On
Or
paper.
utility in their name.
I agree.
Okay, so
But-
the utility in their name, but they're still not on title. So as a lender, I can't demonstrate that they have ownership interest in the property. So I can't refinance them or take out a loan for them.
Wait, who has interest in the property?
Just the person that lost their job that has bad credit. But they want their child or significant other that has good credit, that has a job, to take some cash out. So normally, in the past, people would quit paying deed them on after 120 days, then refinance or take out all my credit.
You can do that, it's just not the safest. I'm not saying you can't do that, it's just not the safest. The better route to do would either to be go through an attorney or a title company and run a title search on it, actually get it insured with a policy. You do not have to have a transaction to get insured a policy. You can run a simple title search, pay for the policy, go about it that way, right? And that would be better. Right. Safer, right? Stace, what's up? I asked you to talk earlier. Now you want to talk?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you earlier. Hey, so, you know me and I have a probate, of course. So
Alright.
anyway, with the personal representative, I've been sending that over to the title company. Is that just something, and they keep sending a title alert saying do they just need to record it at the end, like at closing, or why am I getting that title alert all the time?
What's the alert that you're getting?
About personal representative, I've been sending it.
You have
The
letters.
letters of authority, personal representative?
Okay, are they letters of authority without restrictions?
Yes, no restrictions.
Well, then I don't know. I would have to see the commitment to go with that route. Okay.
Okay, and then the death certificate, of course, like I sent that over, but they need to obviously mail out the original to the county. It didn't get recorded. Is that what that means?
It's e-recording. So guys, death certificates, they obviously get recorded at time of death. Stacey, you bring up a great topic. They get recorded at time of death. Okay. But they don't get recorded attached to the property. All right. So back to me and Mikey owning a property, whether it's an estate, trust, doesn't matter. Right. Us just individuals, doesn't matter. Right. We're joint tenants forward survivorship or anything like that. Right. For him to get my interest, because my kids weren't getting it. You guys remember that? Right. For him to get my interest, my death certificate needs to be attached with the property. Right. And e-recorded with the county that it's in, or recorded with the county that it's in. All right. Does that make sense, Stace?
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? I'm liking this. Come on, feed me back. Hit me. All right. All right. All right. Well, then the last thing I want to do, besides wish you guys a happy and wonderful Friday, and I hope you guys all go out there and kill it today, is I see the Miller Wises on here. I don't know if it's Dave and Jessica or just Jessica or just Dave. Right. But I hope we guys can all wish you guys welcome here, guys. Welcome to Rise United. All right. And welcome to EXP. And we're happy to have you guys. All right. So everybody have a great day. All right. And,
Thanks, Michael.
welcome. All right.
Thank you.
All right.